Warning! The following podcast contains strong language which some listeners may find offensive. If you do,
Up yours! That's only if you don't listen to the podcast. Otherwise, not up yours.
did you know the Untitled Wrestling Podcast is on all of the social media outlets? Give us a like, follow, share, subscribe, or even a review if you're feeling generous. Facebook and YouTube at Untitled Wrestling Podcast, Twitter, Twitch and Discord at Untitled Rest Pod.
Hello everybody, welcome to another episode of the Untitled Wrestling Podcast. It is Tuesday, you know what that means. It's me, your boy Big Tasty, joined as always by Jay. Faye is not here this week, which is this is like a protest because there was no BT today.
It could very well be that. Also, it probably doesn't help that all their favourites are like about to die.
I think this is there was no Young Bucks on AEW TV this week, so I think she's just like on strike until they're back.
Yeah, I mean it makes sense. Yeah, it's been a quiet week, hasn't it? Really, anyway.
Yeah, I mean, off. I think it's been a quiet week off screen, like on screen, a lot's happened, but like there's not been a lot of drama. Yeah, how's your week been anyway, man? Yeah, how's your week been in wrestling? You watched a lot of any extra wrestling? You watched anything fun? Or?
No, pretty much watched AEW and then I didn't get round to anything else. I did after something that happened last night, which we'll talk about shortly. I am looking into getting a DPW subscription. It's been something I've been thinking about for a while because the prettiest murder boy Dan from Sweet Chinwag got me onto them and very good.
So DPW is Deadlock Pro Wrestling?
Deadlock Pro Wrestling, yeah.
Yeah, where are they based?
All over the US. They they remind me a little bit of like ROH when it first started out.
Right, okay, because obviously I've not really seen them, but everything they do looks like all their graphics always look real nice, very slick.
Yeah.
I love their logo with like the D coming up and the P coming down, isn't it? It's like like all like angular and stuff.
They seem to get quite a lot of like AEW guys and gals in as well. Like Emi Sakura is the current women's champion. So I mean that's always good. Before Takeshita was like really having anything to sink his teeth into in AEW. He did a lot of work with them.
Is that where he wrestled Moriarty?
No, that was Prestige, I want to say.
Right.
It was either wrestling Prestige or West Coast, one or the other.
Oh, it might have been West Coast, yeah. It was definitely out that way. That was a great feud. Did you ever see the build-up to that feud? It was Moriarty like fucking hoofing a Cinnabon across a field and saying that Auntie Anne's pretzels were better.
Like Takeshita's already a very murdery boy. don't give him reason to murder you. That's like begging for trouble.
So to start off with, Jay, do you want to tell all the nice people why you want to get into some DPW?
Other than the fantastic roster, and as I say, there's been a lot of kind of exciting things going on. Tantamount to that is a match that happened pretty much from nowhere last night. Where the Workhorsemen, who are the current tag team champions, laid out an open challenge.
And just to put it, Workhorsemen, one of my absolute favourite tag teams because they're just lads who hit people really hard.
Yeah, well...
If you don't know who they are, it's JD Drake and Anthony Henry, who are also in AW.
Yeah. And it was initially answered by Violence and Forever, who were not dressed to compete. And then said, it's not us, but we know we made a call. And then Anik in the UK started playing, and the grizzled young veterans returned.
To be recognised.
Well, that match, the open challenge, if they won, they got a tag team title match, which they did proceed to win. So,
oh, nice.
That means they're going to run it back at some point.
Yeah, boy.
In the near future. So that'll be fun.
Just to clarify, Grizzly Young Veterans, obviously James Drake, Zach Gibson, formerly the Schism Spooky Perverts from WWE NXT. The Dyad. Yeah, whatever. They look like fucking haunted testicles. They're obviously two wrestlers from Liverpool we know very well. Jay, you know in particular Zach very well. Obviously. They've been over in the US. So this is a big story. They asked they asked for the raise a while back, didn't they? And there was a rumor that it was granted, but it wasn't. And then they had a lose NXT match with the Creed brothers and won, which is just fucking really weird. And then the Creed brothers came back anyway, and now the Diet have left, or the GYV have left. So fuck knows what's happening. Shawn Michaels has fucking found the emergency reefer, and he's been booking nonsensical lose town angles. I don't know what's going on. But their contract expired at the weekend, wasn't it? It was literally like
it was midnight their time on on the Friday.
So Friday night into Saturday morning.
Yeah, and then at 5 p.m. our time and midday US time, they put out a scathing promo, which was
that video was incredible. Yeah.
It said no spooky lighting, no contact lenses, no extra camera work or something like that.
No production teams.
That was it. Literally just did it. One take, just a pair of them walking down a road in the suits, getting angry. It's raining, and the guys like who's filming is like, "Oh, should we wait for the rain to like die off?" And like, "No, we want to do this now." And they're just pair of them have got an axe to grind. When they were signed by WWE, I think they were widely regarded as like one of the teams to keep an eye on. Like definitely having potential to being like one of the best tag teams in the world.
Oh yeah.
I think now they're free agents. I don't expect to see them signing anywhere anytime soon. I feel like they're gonna just.
I saw an article said they had a lot of interest from promotions in the US and in Europe and in the UK.
I mean, there's, as we say every week, there's an embarrassment of riches in AEW. I think you could have a dream match list of teams within AEW that you'd want to see go against the Grizzled Young Veterans alone. That being said, there's also Motor City Machine Guns, who both parties have been very vocal about wanting that match.
Yeah.
Greedy Souls have called them out, which I know you'll be excited for. Couple of other UK-based tag teams, which again, very exciting. The idea of them wrestling anyone at the moment.
So I've been stalling like this entire time you've been talking, trying in my head to remember who the Ring of Honor tag team champions are.
Oh yeah, it's MJF.
Oh yeah, that's why. Yeah, no, I don't want MJF to bury Grizzled Young Veterans in a handicap match.
It'd be good if they just debuted and won the ROH tag titles, though. I'd be fucking here for that.
I'd like to see them pop up on Ring of Honor, though. I think that'd be a really nice way to sort of get them into the AEW verse. I think that'd be a.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, like Zach Gibson's like one of the reasons why I'm into quite a lot of the wrestling I'm into, because he put me onto it. So like stuff like Ring of Honor and PWG and Shikara was all his doing. So blame him.
I mean, if we get to see Gibbo wrestling fucking Chuck Taylor.
Oh, mate. Just GYV versus the Colony. Book it.
Yeah. That, I mean, I mean, I'm not just talking AEW. I mean, like, obviously, you think there's almost certainly going to be a GCW booking in there somewhere, you'd think.
Oh, 100%. I think, to be honest, the one that looks most likely at the moment is Impact.
Yeah.
Because
if Machine Guns is on the cards, then obviously that's probably where it's going to happen.
Yeah, they've pretty much, like James Drake said, Motor City Machine Guns versus GYV is going to happen. It just needs to be booked somewhere.
And on a closer note to home, there's been a couple of Liverpool-based promotions who've been making some very cryptic tweets.
Yeah. Well, not even just Liverpool, like Liverpool and beyond, like off the page have been saying a few bits, haven't they?
Infamous.
I mean, I'd be shocked if they didn't show up in Infamous, I'll be honest with you.
I mean, you've got Rob Drake, who's James Drake's brother, is causing all kinds of mischief in Atomic as well.
Yeah. I think it's safe to say we're probably gonna see them in one of those, if not all of those promotions.
Yeah, it's just it's just fun, isn't it? And it's exciting when a team I love it. I love it when a big name jumps from one promotion to the other. Like whether it's Cody going to WWE or Edge, Adam Copeland coming over to AEW, and it's nice when that sort of all gets done real quick and neat. But it's also nice when there's like a little bit of uncertainty and a little bit of speculation, and like you're not quite sure where they're going to pop up. And with GYV, I think it's more a case of you're going to see them in lots of different places.
Yeah, and I think their whole thing prior to getting signed by WWE was like they had a shirt that said "Making Towns," and they just wrestle wherever they could get booked. I don't think they're going to have a shortage of people wanting to book them now.
If you're in the UK and you do want to come and see them, they are at OTT over in the next few weeks.
Yeah, they're wrestling the 012 aren't they? They're Reese and Amari.
In various, guys. They're wrestling in Dublin. They're wrestling somewhere else in Dublin.
They're wrestling the Draw, which is
that's right. It's Sammy and it's they're like the dominant heel faction in OTT. They're really good. Adam Maxton's in there.
It was Sammy D and Charlie Sterling who they're wrestling. But interestingly, in OTT, Zach Gibson was tagging with Charlie Sterling, not James Drake.
Oh right.
Oh, that's. Did you see Gibson's tweet where he was just like, Charlie Sterling, pick up your phone, lad?
Really interestingly as well, we're still owed from back in the day at TNT a Kings of the North GYV match.
That match will never happen.
It was meant to happen like 3 times, and like because either Corbin was injured or like the GYV got signed, and then it never happened. But interestingly, Kings of the North also work OTT.
They do.
So
that match is cursed though, and we'll never get it because whenever we get like promised it never happens.
But in OTT, Damo's part of Kings of the North as well, so
he is.
So that's dangerous for everyone involved.
Yeah.
So from someone who's no longer in WWE to someone who might not be coming back to WWE, I've not got a source because it was just reported I think it was Meltzer who broke it. It was reported all over the internet. Apparently WWE have turned down CM Punk.
I think I wouldn't be surprised if this was like just a work.
I don't know, like why at this point when they're selling out arenas and they're doing record numbers, why would they bother with him?
They've been heavily because he's a draw, and they've been heavily teasing that he's coming back.
Yeah, but half the locker room fucking hates him.
Yeah, and that's fine. Like,
but including like Roman and Seth, who are like 2 of the biggest guys.
Yeah, that's fine. They'll just do what AEW did. Give him a new show.
Give him his own show. Give him main event. Let him just run that.
NXT needs a rebrand again. Just stick him on that.
That'll pop them boomers down in Florida.
I don't know. I think so. Seth Rollins notably has been willing to work with people who he's got a bad relationship with. Like, look at Riddle. He hated Riddle, and then he ended up doing a storyline with him, and it was one of the more compelling things that he did last year. Roman's a company guy again. He'll work with whoever. He can pick and choose.
I get the feeling. I think a lot of things people are saying is, one, he wouldn't be able to get away with the shit he was trying in AEW. If he tried it in WWE, he'd just be fucking spun straight away. Like, it wouldn't stand. And as you said, Jay, I think both the guys that we just mentioned there, they'd both do business, wouldn't they?
Yeah, I think that the key thing is that in AEW, it was very much like CM Punk was like pretty much given like the creative license to be the top dog. He's not going to get that in WWE. He's going to be another employee. He's not going to have like the red carpet rolled out for him like he's the biggest star in wrestling like AEW did.
Which would do spectacular work for his ego.
Yeah. And this is the thing as well. Like, I think I wouldn't be shocked. I mean, the fact that they're absolutely heavily leaning into those rumors of it, and Survivor Series is in Chicago. I mean, Shinsuke Nakamura out of nowhere just hit a fucking GTS on Raw this week.
Yeah,
like that. Are you telling me that they're not like, and they've like did loads of quotes of like the pipe bomb and all kinds. They know what they're doing, and more importantly, it's exactly what Punk was doing in AEW when he was first like getting teased to show up.
But do you think? Are you almost saying it's nailed on here?
I'm not saying it's nailed on because anything can happen, and as we know with CM Punk, he's not exactly a well-grounded individual.
It's gonna be mad when he's there for like a cup of coffee and then he just fucking batters Akira Tozawa or something and gets sacked again.
You know what? As I say, I think he'd fall in line there because there's a lot more there's a lot more sort of like commanding presences than in AEW where he just kind of like elected himself the locker room leader.
Mm. He was trying to run a company though.
Exactly. Like he knows he can go to WWE. He can just be like an employee.
Mm.
He doesn't have to worry about like any of this other shit. He can just go and wrestle, which is what he wants to do.
Okay, then. So from someone who's not coming into WWE potentially to someone who is making an appearance in AEW. So this week on Dynamite, we're going to see. Is it Rampage? It's Rampage. We're going to see Mystico. For those who don't know who Mystico is, he is the original Sin Cara. The botchy one.
The one who was botchy as fuck, but also it's one of those things, and you do see it a lot with like Indian luchadors in particular, where because I remember being told this. So with like most wrestling, they lead with like the right hand, so everything goes through like the right hand side. With Lucha Libre, it's through the left. So it's why you see a lot of the times like a lot of teething difficulties with a lot of luchadors when they come to America and expect it to work in American style. I'm not saying that's why he was like a flop. I'm just saying that's probably played a part in it.
I mean, when you look at his work before WWE and his post WWE work, like for those of you who don't know, I haven't followed him because think, he's just that botch guy. Him and Rocky Romero have been having like feud of the year in fucking CMLL this year.
Yeah. He's also like we've seen him wrestle for Ring of Honor.
Yeah.
Caristico. Because he obviously Lucha Libre, especially the Mystico IP. Fuck me, it's like it's on
if you're on Discord, if you go into one of the channels, there's like a fucking flowchart of like Lucha Libre luchador names, and so yeah, at one point Dralistico was Mystico, and then
so was Dragon Lee.
Yeah, and then now that's back. Now they're both those things, and now Mystico is Mystico again. But then the second Mystico was also Hunico.
Yeah, and then
the second Sin Cara, sorry.
Second Sin Cara, and then he left WWE, tried to keep hold of the Sin Cara name because he's a lunatic, and then now he's Cinta de Oro,
right?
Which, yeah, don't worry about that. Dragon Lee was Mystico.
I'm sure at some point the Sweet Joe podcast will have done something about this because this is their shit and they're really good at stuff like this. So maybe check out them to see if they've done an explainer on Mystico or if they're doing one.
I would be shocked if they haven't already got one of them in the plan. For a rainy day.
But yeah, on Rampage we're getting Mystico versus Rocky Romero, and it's like basically the blow off to this feud, isn't it? And then they're putting it on AEW television.
So Rocky is, if I remember rightly, Rocky is the welterweight and Mystico's the middleweight championship. But either way, they both hold that belt, and it's kind of, I don't think either belt's on the line. It's more just kind of like a sort of like bragging rights of who's the best champion.
Like who's the top champ. And like they share, like they had a video this week on Dynamite or on one of the AW shows. It uplands to one now. It was actually like narrated by Rocky Romero going over like the history of their feud and like Rocky's time in CMLL. Also to sort of add on to this is also the bigger story here is that CMLL have basically entered into a sort of partnership with AEW as well.
Which, yeah, especially when AEW have had a partnership with AAA, which, like, that's a fucking huge no-no normally.
They've signed Roosh now, they don't need that no more.
Oh, well, Roosh is on fucking dreadful terms with CMLL. Roosh just walked out of CMLL and went to fucking AAA. He's a lunatic. Yeah, it's interesting because it kind of, again, it showcases that AEW are happy to just work with any company. But
yeah. Well, to put it in perspective, Commander is a Triple A champion.
Yes.
Ray Phoenix was, Kenny Omega was. Like, they've all held Triple A gold. Like they've put the Triple A belt on Kenny on TV and on Rey Mysterio on Ray Phoenix. Sorry.
Yeah. Like the other thing as well is like to kind of just sort of like give you an idea of how big this is. Forbidden Door, a lot of like the AAA talent weren't allowed to work those shows because of CMLL's relationship with New Japan.
Which has fascinating implications for the next time Forbidden Door rolls around, doesn't it?
It does. Although, also the other side of it is Conan's been shit talking AEW a lot recently. Maybe Tony's just gone, all right, fuck you, Conan.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, it's fascinating. Obviously, there's a lot of talk about, like, I mean, no one knows for sure what the sort of backstage details are, but there's talk about, like, obviously them not wanting to put AAA and CMLL talent in the ring together. That's a thing that won't be allowed.
Mm-hmm.
But it's felt like there's enough space on the programming for that. Like, you could almost say, like, if you want to put AAA guys on, I mean, it's like Rampage is kind of becoming the AAA show, isn't it? Like, with all the luchadors and whatnot.
Yeah.
And you could put your CMLL guys on Collision, or because like Jay White loves murdering luchadors. That's his whole thing now. So
he does enjoy murdering a good luchador. Yeah, it's, as I say, it's a very, very intriguing, and this kind of come out of nowhere.
Yeah, it just happened. There was no rumors. There was no nothing. And Tony just like, yo, you want luchadors? Here's some fucking luchadors.
Well, it was literally, wasn't it? Like, there was the whole head-to-head with WWE on the Tuesday, and then the ratings come out, and it's like Tony Khan had like a fucking mental break and just like started tweeting a lot of crazy shit, and then just went, look, here's some matches I booked, and it was just like 3 fucking like banging dream matches. Like, all right, yeah, sound.
Yeah, I love Cocaine Come Down Tony. It's my favorite.
Yeah. Because what else we got? We got Joe versus Willie Mack, which happened on Collision,
which was lovely.
Which was a treat. And there was something announced for Dynamite, wasn't it, this week?
This week, there's nothing.
Oh, it was Jay White versus Penta, wasn't it?
Yes, that was it. Yeah.
Which, speaking of Jay White and luchadors, that'll be fun.
Yeah. How can you murder a luchador when the luchador himself is murder?
He's literally murder incarnate. But yeah, that's, as I say, it's an interesting time, isn't it? In AEW, in the land of AEW.
Yeah. Speaking of interesting times, should we talk about Vince getting binned off?
Yeah, that's always fun.
That's always nice, isn't it? So, yeah, Leaf Pervert Vince McMahon is look behind the bastards reference for you there, is apparently out of creative. Apparently this decision came like from the top of TKO Endeavor. This was Ari Emanuel basically calling the shot here, basically. So word is that as soon as the deal closed, the stock price fucking tanked because Vince is a lunatic. And the guy in charge is just Ari Emanuel. Was like, fuck this noise, you're out of it.
Yeah, so he is still very much within the company. Like they haven't sacked him.
No.
However,
they're just not letting him anywhere near the fucking book, as they should.
Well, it's one of those things with like with the way they kind of like run their companies. It's that they have a specific corporate structure and they don't like people deviating from that. So while Vince is like still very much the CEO of the company, they've gone, whenever he like tries to get near Gorilla, they're just like, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah, Vince loves a deviation, doesn't he? Fuck me.
We have a man on the books to do this. Why are you fucking doing it?
Put the fucking pen down. No, get away from the headset.
Leave all alone and let him do his job.
Yeah.
Because to be fair, like I'm not watched tons of WWE, but what I have watched when Triple H has been at the helm, so to speak, it's been very like good.
I mean, whether like regardless of quality, whether you like the product or not is subjective. But one thing you cannot argue is that it's definitely been more coherent.
Yeah, but like letting guys like Chad Gable go out and actually fucking wrestle.
Yeah, it did cost Rick Boogs his job though, allegedly.
Yeah, that's fine. Don't worry about it. No,
So think about poor
no one
Rick
gives a
before
fuck
you
about that. No
yeah.
one's that bad about that. It's only Boogs.
Anything else you got for news?
Yeah, Tasty. Who's your hero?
Oh, are you? I'm holding out for a hero. In fact,
Well, it's a good job you are because we've got one coming back. West Coast Pro Wrestling, who quite notably have Chris Hero as like the head booker there. They ran a show at, I think it was their 5th anniversary show or something like that. It just says West Coast Pro 5. But like one of the big things to come of that was Timothy Thatcher basically has been like attacking Chris Hero for months, and Chris Hero came back and just said, "You're not getting the booker Chris Hero. You're getting the knockout artist Chris Hero."
Ooh.
So, yeah, I mean, I can't think of a better opponent really for Chris Hero as well.
that's gonna be a fucking stiff match.
Yeah, well, like there was a video. There was like the video of Chris Hero announcing it, but then he put like pictures up, and there was one of like Thatcher just like suplexing Chris Hero and like just dumping him on his head. I was like, yeah, these guys are gonna fucking kill each other.
Amazing.
Credit to Timothy Thatcher as well for like his character work. Like when Chris Hero's like announcing it, he looks like his whole fucking world is crumbling down around him. Timothy Thatcher's fucking great. I genuinely am very excited for that match.
Chris, I beg you, Ring of Honor is right there.
Well, he's in creative in AEW now, isn't he?
Yeah, Claudio Castagnoli's right there. Like,
Kings of Wrestling versus GYV, Booker Cowards.
I mean, in terms of matches that were impossible literally 2 weeks ago that are now a very real possibility, that is tantalizing, isn't it?
That's up there for sure.
Yeah.
I'm just having a
And
look.
I know James and Zach get a fucking kick out of that match as well.
Yes. Again, like Zach got me into Kings of Wrestling, so yeah. I'm pretty sure he would get an absolute kick out of that for sure. I'm just seeing what else has happened. There's been, well, we've not spoke about Royal Quest. Shall we run down the results of that?
Yeah, let's talk a bit about Royal Quest. I've got the card here if you want it. It's in order. So, Taiji Ishimori defeated Robbie X. I'm sure
was Ishimori's first match back as well.
Oh, nice. I'm sure that was lovely. Despy, everyone's favourite, El Desperado, defeated Trent Seven.
Oh, nice. I did see a clip of Robbie X versus Ishimori, and like some of the stuff they were doing was just fucking silly. Just absolute nonsense.
Next, you had Yota Tsuji defeated Luke Jacobs. That's a match I want to see.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Luke Jacobs has been up. Luke Jacobs has had an excellent year of just getting battered by like massive Japanese guys.
Yeah, he's wrestling Kenta next week as well, isn't he?
Yeah, so it's going to continue.
Yeah.
Next up, we had Bullet Club War Dogs. That was Driller, Dan Maloney, and Clark Connors defeated Leon Slater and Cameron Kai. That was for the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Tag Team Championships, which the Bullet Club retained. I mean, I don't like how much Driller is killing Leon Slater this year, but whatever. If that's the price we're going to pay.
Leon's beaten twice this year.
Yeah, but Driller's hurt him a lot. Like,
oh yeah, like Driller's like literally beat the living shit out of Leon, but yeah, Leon's still getting his wins, which is good.
Yeah, Gorillas of Destiny, which apparently is now El Fantasmo, Tamatonga, and Tangaloa.
Don't worry about
it. Defeated Bullet Club. That was David Finlay, Gabe Kidd, and Alex Coughlin.
Nice.
Yeah, 6-man tag match. That sounds fun. I mean, I'm into all that. That sounds lovely.
Yeah.
Ren Narita and Shota Umino defeated United Empire. That was Francesco Akira and Greater Khan.
Not bad.
Yeah.
Not bad at all.
LIJ, which was represented by Bushi and Naito, defeated. It says just 5 guys, but it was two guys of just 5 guys. So that was Dookie and Sonada.
Nice.
Yeah, Sonada on the losing side.
Yeah, it's usually what they do when they're kind of like building up towards Wrestle Kingdom. They have the champ take a few.
Well, especially to Naito, who's going to be challenging him. That's interesting.
Yeah,
That's big.
absolutely.
Tanahashi, Eddie Kingston, and Michael Oku defeated another United Empire team. This time, comprised of TJP, Aaron Hanare, and Jeff Cobb.
Did you see the video of the entrances with that?
I saw. Well, I haven't seen it, but I heard they all came out to Michael Oku's music, didn't they? Which was kind of cool.
Yeah, and Tanahashi started hitting on Michael Oku's girlfriend.
Amazing. Shingo Takagi defeated Ishii. That's a match I want to see. Two big meaty men slapping meat.
I saw the shot of the pumpkin bomber. I suppose it's that time of the year.
Yeah,
it's on my brain. The pumpkin bomber that he did on Ishii to finish it, and it looked filth. It looked like a fucking war crime. It was beautiful.
And then in the main event for the IWGP UK Heavyweight Championship, Will Ospreay defeated Zack Sabre Jr. in what a lot of people are calling one of the matches of the year, if not the match of the year.
I saw the opening segment and it was fucking insane. And I saw there was a spot where Sabre reversed the hidden blade into an armbar. Yeah. And I was like, how on earth did he do that?
I mean, at this point, is it even worth having a Wrestler of the Year conversation? Is it just Will Ospreay?
I think there's people who you could say are just as deserving.
I mean, you could say Will Ospreay's last 2 months is one of the best wrestling runs of all time.
Yeah, you could. I mean, as I say, like Orange Cassidy's had a hell of a year.
It feels almost unfair, doesn't it? Because, like, yeah, you say like guys like Cassidy, guys like Mike Bailey, even guys like Zack Sabre Jr. Yeah, I mean, look at championships in New Japan. He's held that TV title for like so long, and he's had so many awesome defenses. You know,
Eddie Kingston's had a good year. Who else? I'm trying to. Kenny's had a good year. Danielson's had a fantastic year.
Danielson, I mean, Swerve is coming up in the ring mirror now, isn't he?
Swerve's last like 3 months have been fantastic.
Yeah,
I think Swerve's probably going to be in the argument next year. I think,
especially if he wins or the title.
Yeah, I think Swerve's definitely primed to have.
Can you put Christian in this conversation?
I was gonna say Christian should be in the argument as well, because even though he's not wrestled much, when he has wrestled, he's been phenomenal.
Yeah, banger after banger.
Yeah.
So before we go on to talk about Christian in great detail, shall we? Oh, Sarah's just texted me to mention MJF as well. There we go.
I literally just saw
that. Yeah, again, put him in that Christian bracket. Doesn't wrestle an awful lot. Wrestles a bit more now that he's with Adam Cole. But again, when does MJF ever not show up? Yeah, so Sarah also then said, we forgot to say what happened at the end of the Ospreay match. I haven't seen it. I don't know what happened at the end of the Ospreay match. It doesn't say on Wikipedia.
Yeah, Shota Umino came out and challenged Ospreay while wearing a BCC shirt.
Oh, fair.
And who did? Ospreay
Mox
said...
and Great Khan.
Yeah, that's correct. That is correct. Yeah. So, yeah, that might be happening.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if this was... Because it feels like they kind of like deviated away from Kenny and Ospreay a bit. Even though we're definitely getting a third match at some point.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if they did Kenny Ospreay at Full Gear and they did Mox and Ospreay at Wrestle Kingdom. Kind of feels like the way they're going with that.
I'd love at some point as well if we got Ospreay versus Kota.
Yeah. Well, they've had that like phenomenal match at Wrestle Kingdom a couple of years ago.
Yeah, I'd want to see that at an AEW show. That'd be fucking lovely.
Mm-hmm. Danielson Ospreay's probably on the horizon as well.
Yeah. Right, should we move on and talk about some AEW?
Yeah, go ahead.
Because it's a lot to talk about, because it was Titled Tuesday. Not Come Tuesday. Yeah. Much better. Titled Tuesday.
Never Come Tuesday.
So before the actual show itself, I don't know how this works. Does Tony Khan just have Suzuki on speed dial?
Yes. Suzuki was in the country because he wrestled for MLW this weekend.
Oh, fair. But then
So I think he was.
Tony was just like, yo, Minoru, I've got a 30-minute YouTube show. Do you want to wrestle Eddie Kingston?
And yeah, Suzuki obliged them. I haven't seen this match yet, purely because I just haven't had the chance.
It was, I mean, so it's like, imagine what you think this match was in your mind. It was exactly that.
Just chops.
It was, so yeah, it started out with, basically Eddie and Suzuki chopping each other. Like, literally within the first, 30 seconds, Eddie takes his straps down so Suzuki can chop him in the chest.
Sounds about right.
And then Eddie's doing, the machine gun chops in the corner, and Suzuki just no-sells them.
Yeah, sounds right.
Which was great. And then, it was excellent. Oh, interestingly, Eddie won with... So, basically, Eddie hits a back fist and then gets a 2 count. Then hits another back fist, gets a 1 count.
Standard.
Yeah, and then a little back and forth, and then he hits a Northern Lights bomb. Won with a Northern Lights bomb, not the power bomb.
Ooh.
Yeah. Interesting. And then he did that thing he's been doing as well. So after the match, he basically he basically Suzuki was clapping him and clapping the fans, and then Eddie went up to him and went to sort of raise his hand. And before they did that, Suzuki chopped Eddie, then Eddie chopped Suzuki, then they hugged, and then they raised each other's arms. Which was really nice. And then Eddie basically went over to the announce desk and basically just grabbed a spare headset and was like, "Yo, don't be an idiot. Watch Dynamite tonight."
I saw him go behind RJ and Renee and give RJ the middle finger.
Yeah, he was like, "Hi Renee, how's it going? Good to see you, sis." Then he was flipping RJ off. Yeah, RJ was just acting like Eddie was going to batter him. It was great. It was like when he was coming for Matthew at that UK show.
Yeah.
It was fucking excellent. And then he went up to he put Taz in a fake sleeper as well, which is funny. Yeah, it was great. It was a little bit of personality of Eddie was wonderful. Then we had a big announcement at the start of, this is before the show, so after the match.
On the buy-in, wasn't it?
Yeah, still on the buy-in. We had a big announcement that John Moxley wasn't cleared for the show tonight. He was still in concussion protocol. And he's going to find a challenger. And then Hook walks up and is like, "Yeah, Orange didn't get his rematch. Could be Orange." And then Tony was like, "Do you want it, Orange?" And he sort of just didn't answer for 5 seconds, and he was like, "Yeah, okay."
Yeah. This is an interesting character turn for Orange, I think.
It makes sense. It makes sense though having him have the rematch for the title.
Yeah. He never got a rematch, and he's the greatest international champion they've had. Not that they've had many, but still, I think he'll be widely regarded as the greatest for quite a long time. Yeah.
Again, we started off with Christine Cage in the production truck at the start of the show, basically saying that this was the biggest Dynamite in history, and basically said that he basically paid for the first 30 minutes of Dynamite to be commercial free because he is our king. He is the father of the year. He is the best man in all of wrestling.
I mean, he is. He really is. Yeah, especially because it was Swerve vs. Danielson that was commercial free.
Yeah. And oh, motherfucker, what a match this was.
What a match. Again, if you don't think Swerve is a future AEW champion, what's wrong with you?
I mean, he absolutely hung here with one of the greatest of all time.
Yeah. And the thing is as well, until the end, it looked like he was going to pull it off.
Yeah. I mean, the second or third, one of the house call kicks he hit on Danielson was an absolute crime.
Was it the one where they literally changed the shot?
Yeah.
As Swerve was just appearing out of nowhere, just putting his foot through the back of Danielson's head.
Yep. It was fucking horrible. It was. Oh my god. Yeah. It was incredible.
And then
no, I can't go too much in detail. This one just fucking watch it. It was excellent.
Yeah. Yeah, they literally went about 25 minutes, didn't they?
16.
Was it only 16?
Yeah.
Fucking hell.
No commercials. I know it was. It was excellent.
It felt like a pay-per-view match.
It really did. I mean, it pretty much was like 15 to 20 minutes is what you expect from a pay-per-view match.
And commercial free as well.
Yeah. Another promo from Samoa Joe with his cigar.
Well, we didn't actually mention the finish there. So Swerve went to repeat the finish.
A wild Hangman appeared.
Yeah, Swerve went to repeat the finish of him and Hangman. Hangman grabbed Nana's crown off Swerve, and then Danielson hit Swerve with a horrific looking Busai.
Yes, yeah, it was a fucking walk around. It was a good finish as well, because like the sort of interference from Hangman protects Swerve a little bit, makes him look a bit strong, but obviously Danielson gets the win because he's a top lad.
It was like Swerve and Hangman, where Swerve didn't really need to do that. He just did it because he's a bastard.
Yeah. Next up, then, we had that Samoa Joe promo, which he just looks like a fucking murderer, doesn't he?
MJF's in so much danger.
He's coming for that title.
Although I do think I know his name, like he said MJF by name, but with him saying about the whole I won a world championship, I do think it might be that he's going after Eddie.
No, he did say AEW. He said AEW, don't he?
Oh yeah, no, I mean he said AEW, but he also said I just won a world championship at one point.
Yeah,
which makes me think they could quite easily divert him after Eddie for a little bit.
Interesting. Well, he's just about to pass Jay Lethal to be the longest reigning TV champion of all time as well, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
So yeah. Interesting as well. Jay Lethal was watching Eddie Kingston's match against Suzuki as well, but I try not to think about that. So
yeah, at least Eddie's gonna cry him.
Yeah. Next up, then we had Chris Jericho versus Powerhouse Hobbs, and apart from a few little hope spots, this was basically a squash match.
Yeah. I mean, like or love or hate Jericho, like you can't deny that when he wants to like give someone an impactful win, he's happy to do it. Like he did it earlier. He did it earlier in the year with Starks going 2-0 over him. Here with Hobbs, literally just destroying him. It's exactly what Hobbs needed. Obviously, as Don Callis' new kind of like guy who's just gonna like kill everybody. They needed Hobbs' first kind of like showing to be a really strong one. I think this did exactly what it needed to.
Yeah, he basically just hits Jericho with multiple spine busters. It's similar to what they've been doing with Wardlow, except obviously this has a lot more impact because it's Jericho.
Yeah.
Interestingly as well, if you put like there's a clip of it online, and if you've got like decent headphones, just before the finish, you can actually hear Jericho say, "Put your knee on my face," when he pins him.
Yeah, I was gonna say like he dominantly pinned him as well, didn't he?
Yeah, which was fun. It's interesting to see what this does for Hobbs. I feel like he lost a lot of momentum being with QT Marshall, and if they can sort of build him back up with this, that'd be really good.
Yeah, I think he should have had a much longer reign with the TNT title than he did.
It's fine. The TNT title's in a better place now. It's everyone.
I mean, yeah, the TNT title's in a good place now, thank God. But
everyone involved's doing better except for War Daddy.
Yeah, but for now,
you might get there. Yeah, we'll be fine. Next up, then we had another Roddy, Mike Bennett, bits and bobs. Some interesting little details here. So first of all, it was fun. You got to see Adam Cole cutting Roddy's grass because the Kingdom can't do it because they're useless. And basically Cole asks why Matt Taven's got a giraffe, and Matt Taven's like, "We got it for Roddy. He was in the hospital. If you'd have come to the hospital, you'd have known." And then he's like, "Yeah, it's giraffe because it's the strongest necked animal in the animal kingdom because they literally fight by whipping each other with their necks. Have you ever seen two giraffes fighting? It's fucking terrifying."
No, but I need to look this up.
Oh my God, they literally just whip each other with their necks, like using their necks as weapons.
I'm doing this right now.
It's fucking horrifying. Then they drop in a few details. So Cole basically says, "Yo, look, why is there no like phone service here? Like it's really weird." And it like we said the other week, it's gone a bit misery now, hasn't it? It's gone a bit like maybe Cole's like never actually leaving.
Yeah. What was that? The whole bit with oh Jesus.
Yeah, it's fucking horrifying, isn't it? It's
Yeah.
neck strong, baby. That's what happens when you're neck strong. You
Next strong. Yeah. I was gonna say what about swans, but clearly those giraffes are just fucking. I mean, they could probably smack a car with that. Yeah, it is interesting, this whole like Roddy thing, especially because Cole's now had surgery, has he not?
Yeah, but it also gives everybody an alibi, supposedly, for the beating up of Jay White.
Well, yeah, because that could have been like I need one thing, and it'd been filmed weeks ago, but obviously they're acting like it hasn't.
Yeah. So I'm intrigued to see where this goes. It's good fun. And Adam Cole's just hamming the shit out of this, which is great. He's doing his biggest his good nerd faces, isn't he, and everything. It's excellent.
I did like as well. Did you see on SmackDown Kevin Owens mentioning Adam Cole, just saying like "get well soon, buddy"?
Yeah, it was nice.
That was nice.
Apparently he's had his surgery now as well, so he's just on the recovery.
I think he had it on Friday, but he's got to have two, hasn't
he? Yeah, but he basically said he's going to do a lot of streaming. So if you want to go and check out Chugs on Twitch,
very entertaining.
Yeah,
would recommend.
He's wholesome as fuck as well. Like he really is. I've seen him. I watched some of his like Elden Ring stream, and he's really low energy. He doesn't scream into the mic, and then he really interacts with the chat a lot. Like someone was saying, like it was their nan's birthday, and he was asking about how their nan was and where they went out for their birthday and stuff. He's just a super nice guy. Right, next up then we had Rey Fenix defend the international title against Orange Cassidy, and not quite a squash, but a very quick match, 5-minute match. Orange Cassidy wins to regain.
Yeah, so there was a lot of like stuff around Phoenix, wasn't it? That he was injured. Again, like they're really playing into the whole like the championship's cursed. Because everyone who gets it ends up hurt. Interestingly, as soon as Orange won it, he like kind of like looked at it like in disbelief, and then he just walked off staring at the belt.
Yeah, so he rolls out the ring and he's holding onto the belt, and like Chuck like puts his arm around him and is like, "Well done." And it takes him a couple of seconds to realize that Chuck's there and sort of acknowledge him, because he's like just staring, he's like locked eyes with the belt, like holding it in front of his face. Doesn't put it back in the backpack. He came out with the backpack, left the backpack, like didn't put the title in the backpack. Didn't even walk off with it. He just left it at the other side of the ring.
I think this is a really good kind of way to really, really like get Orange like ready for that like world title picture, because we've said now for a couple of weeks, haven't we? We think Swerve's going to be like the one. Like we think Swerve's the guy who's taking that off MJF at this point.
Yeah,
and Orange is like kind of like the perfect foil for Swerve.
Well, with all the guys you're heating up now, and with all the sort of building you've done, you've literally got a new main event now of like potentially Darby, Swerve, Orange, like all these guys, Jay White, all these guys who have got like history with each other and who have worked with each other and have done these programs with each other, and so that when the belt switches now, you've got this entire like we did with MGF when it was like Adam Cole coming in and all these other guys, and it was like it's moving on to a new cast of characters now, which is really fascinating.
It's genuinely like the best thing about CM Punk getting fired was that it forced a hand to kind of make new stars very quickly.
Yeah.
And you've got guys like, as we say, Swerve. Hangman feels like he's got like kind of like a renewed vigor.
Well, again, if Swerve's going up to that main event and Hangman's knocking around with Swerve, then it's a reason for Hangman to get back into the title picture, isn't it?
Oh, like they could literally have like Swerve and Hangman being like Batman and Joker.
Yeah.
And like just always kind of like destined to fight each other.
You've got Swerve and Hangman, Swerve and Darby like already locked in. You can just reheat them whenever you need to. Like that's just ready to go, isn't it? So
yeah, I'm sure Swerve will happily crime Nick Wayne if he needs to, just for something to do.
Yeah. Right. Speaking of crime, next up then you had. Before we went into the next match.
Oh yeah, you're right. It is a crime that you're not talking about Tony Storm's Lover's Lament.
So this was excellent. This not only was this really funny, but we didn't even get the full effect of it. So apparently, what happened was we got it on like full screen on Fight, and it was just a silent movie where she was acting out like seemingly random scenes. But when you played it on the US broadcast, apparently it was hair acting out whatever was happening in the adverts.
Fucking brilliant. That's fucking excellent. I love the whole like breaking down the fourth wall of it, kind of like being like, oh yeah, it's time for a commercial break and stuff like that.
So also, if you've seen on the AW website, her profile picture is now in black and white as well.
I did see that. Yeah, that's fucking excellent. Tony Storm's another one in the argument for Wrestler of the Year.
He's having a fantastic year. Yeah,
he's having both a fucking great year.
The character work and the ring work has also been excellent. So yeah. Speaking of things, Wardlow versus Matt Sydal. Basically, Wardlow gives Matt Sydal 4 power bombs. Ref stops the match. Wardlow leaves through the crowd.
Power bombs until death. Did he have MJF written on his wrist tape again?
I don't know if he did this week. I couldn't say. I didn't look. But probably. He probably did. He did last week. Yeah.
He had something written on there. I just couldn't make out what it was.
Yeah.
Because he was too busy killing Matt Sydal.
Daniel Garcia is concerned about Chris Jericho. Matt Menard's angry about it. And
interesting where this go.
Yeah, it's obviously going to push Daniel Garcia back towards being a pure wrestler again. I think, isn't it? That's the sort of direction we're going into.
Daniel Garcia is like already like massive babyface.
Yeah,
like the fans want to cheer him. Daddy Magic's being a piece of shit.
He was hanging out with West Side Gun this week as well because West Side Gun's album came out.
Yeah, him and Private Party.
Yeah, which is pretty cool. Next up, then we had another. You ready for another banger? Because fuck me, Hangman Adam Page versus Jay White. on my report I've got here, it says Jay White with Austin Gunn, Colton Gunn, Juice Robinson, and Carblade.
Yeah, I mean that's all the members of the Bullet Club Gold. Yeah, it was interesting because they kept Hangman looking relatively strong in this, didn't he?
Yeah.
There was a lot of Bullet Club shenanigans. Prince Nana came out and distracted Page for White to get a roll up and pick up the win. But once again, Jay White beats Hangman Page.
Yeah, this felt huge for Jay White. Like he was obviously going to get the win because they're building him up to be MJF's next big threat. But yeah, I mean, Jay White he just gets it done in the ring, doesn't he? Like he really entertains me as a wrestler. Like on him and Hangman, I think they've got excellent chemistry. Like this match was the longest match on the show. It was 70. Was it longer than Edge's match? Oh, sorry, Adam Copeland's match. Yes, just. So the longest match on the show, but it just felt, the whole thing just felt effortless. It was great.
Yeah. Yeah, just again, we're talking about like that new kind of like upper echelon in AEW. I feel like should Jay White be the guy to dethrone MJF? Because, well, as I say, we think it's Swerve, but they could swerve us and just have Jay White beat MJF clean as a fucking whistle.
I'd be absolutely fine with that if it happened. I think he's credible enough, and there would obviously be some sort of shenanigans to go along with it. Which would be fun seeing MJF on the receiving end of bullshit as opposed to being the one doing the bullshit.
Yeah,
that'd be a really interesting. Yeah, it'd be an interesting sort of paradigm shift, so to speak. Afterwards, that promo. Yeah. So MJF come out to like kind of basically ask for his belt back. He gave credit to Jay White because obviously Jay White was like, well, you attacked me, so I just took your belt off you. Yeah.
And then Juice called out MJF about the Dynamite Diamond Ring Battle Royal, and then it didn't really go down well, did it? To put it mildly.
No.
So
yeah,
Juice pulled out a roll of quarters, and it had Friedman written on it. Obviously, MJF saying about the whole like kids like throwing like quarters at him when he was a kid. Like being anti-Semitic towards him. I get why they've done it, like because obviously it is Juice's thing. Like, he's been doing it for like years prior to it, but in AEW he's not really done it.
Yeah, so on the sort of surface level, it's like you look, okay, Juice Robinson hits people with quarters. MJF has explained about a traumatic past incident involving Quarters. They want to bring it together to make Juice seem like a threat to MJF. That makes sense. And MJF himself. So obviously, there was a lot of discussion immediately, as I said. A lot of people like very upset on the internet, saying that it was like in poor taste, especially given the events in Israel that happened like literally days before this was broadcast. But then MJF himself came back on social media and said, obviously, his whole point of doing this was to raise the topic of anti-Semitism, and so he wanted to discourse about it. He wanted a dialogue about it.
They did that. They had that video package on. Was it Rampage or Collision? It was Collision, I think. Where it was like MJF going to that Stop Jewish Hate thing.
Yeah, with yeah. And that's
so,
something, that's something MJF's mentioned several times, and it's something he feels very strongly about, and he's a big sort of advocate for.
Yeah, I think the thing that kind of needs to be addressed is it was in poor taste, but I think MJF's heart was in the right place. Like I don't think for a second they've done that trying to like illustrate it as like an anti-Semitic thing. I think it was more obviously Juice bringing up a traumatic experience from MJF's life.
Yeah, and again, I mean, I'm not going to stand here and sit here or whatever and say, oh yeah, it's okay to do this. I'm not Jewish. I don't know how that plays. I don't know how that feels. I'll never know how that feels.
Yeah, absolutely.
But,
I don't.
People who are saying, it was poorly timed because of what happened, but you could argue that it's actually more important to raise awareness about these sort of things in events like this. Like someone was saying, like there was reports that like there's been a 300% increase in like anti-Semitic hate on the internet since that happened, and like if MJF's out there trying to make people think. The problem is, and I'm not laying the blame at anyone in particular, but wrestling has always, and MJF made this point, wrestling's always been such a sort of lowbrow form of art that you've never been able to have a serious discussion about a serious topic like this, and he wants to do that, and because it's not been able to be done in the past, it's sort of tarnished going forward, and that's why that's why people are getting so upset about it, because it's never been handled properly before, and like
Yeah, I was going to say, I think because obviously it's previously, let's kind of like call a spade a spade. It was Vince who was ham-fisting everything. That's the only real, like, kind of, whenever there's been a serious topic brought up within wrestling, it's been that. And I think instantly wrestling fans have a distrust for any wrestling company then trying to portray something that's a little bit more serious, a little bit more mature than anything but some kind of sideshow like act. And I think it's very noble of MJF to want to try and address a serious topic that is something that he has had happen to him in his life. I think it's one of those things. I think AEW didn't really handle it great. I think MJF did a good job of handling it. And at the end of the day, obviously, like, the two guys involved, MJF and Juice, are adults. They've probably had a discussion about this before. I seriously doubt they wouldn't have at least spoke about it.
Well, they absolutely did. I'm not going to sit here and say, I think it's fine, because I don't have the authority to say that it's not a big deal, because I'm not Jewish. Again, I'm not a person affected by it. But just from what I saw, like, Juice wasn't anti-Semitic. He didn't use any insults. He didn't use any slurs. He didn't he didn't throw the Quarters at MJF or anything like that. There was nothing referenced back to MJF's. And this was all sort of spit on, because there was that guy with the sign in the crowd a few weeks back, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Which kept us in the memory. He was obviously being a bit anti-Semitic, and he was eventually made to leave, which was great. But yeah, I've long had this like really weird. Like I've always been fascinated a little bit by this sort of disconnect and this sort of like weird schism in wrestling. Like, if wrestling is an art form, then it should be allowed to explore topics that films and television shows are allowed to explore.
Yeah, as I say, I think as long as it's done like with something like this, as long as it's done with like a level of sensitivity where they understand, like, even if it's fucking peeling back the curtain so people understand there's no like real malice there. Excuse me.
Anyway, we'll talk about it in a little bit, but they pivoted hard away from this by the time we get to Collision, so they've found a way to sort of carry on the storyline in a slightly different vein, which was quite nice. And this overshadows one of the greatest lines of AEW's entire year, which was Juice Robinson screaming, "I'm coming for your ring."
Yeah,
which is quite frankly the scariest thing I've ever heard.
Yeah, well, I mean, did you see Max Caster's tweet?
Yeah. I love how like in all of this we've also got like slightly like inappropriate Max Caster being overly friendly with MJF. Like he's been on Twitter for like 2 years.
Yeah. Well, I think that obviously they're trying to keep MJF face. Like that, I think the easy thing would have been to just Adam Cole's hair, just turn MJF back to being a heel. But then the fact that they're sticking with MJF trying to be a better guy,
which is interesting because he doesn't have his moral compass with him anymore. Like he doesn't have Adam Cole there to keep him on the straight and narrow. So it's going to be fascinating. I mean, you've got to think that Juice is going to win the Battle Royal next week and go on to fight MJF. And then what happens then? Does MJF try and be a good guy and lose? Does he cheat and win? Does he cheat and lose? Like there's so many.
I think MJF hits Juice with the roll of quarters to win.
Oh, that'd be something we're talking about.
Although, that being said, if Juice wins, it's then a compelling kind of... It's compelling in a way that, like, it's the start of MJF losing everything.
Well, that's it. You're stripping everything away from him. So he's lost Adam Cole.
All he's got left is those Ring of Honor tag titles.
If he loses the Diamond Ring, then that's another, like you say, feather out of his cap, another string off his bow. And then he's down. He's going to be going into. He could potentially be going into the match against Jay White, literally with just his wrestling ability to back him up, and that's all he's got.
Yeah, and that'll, in fairness, that'll kind of ingratiate him to.
I mean, that will, if anything else, that will push him further into the realm of babyface, won't it? Like if he has to out wrestle Jay White and overcome the Bullet Club Gold as well at the same time.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there's a lot of interesting ways they can go about this. I think, as I say, like the initial execution was a little bit ham-fisted, but I think it's as I say, it's noble that MJF would want to try.
Yeah,
and,
I applaud him for trying to tell a story that he's like passionate about and he thinks obviously thinks is and rightly so thinks is a huge deal. But yeah, I think when we get to Collision, we'll talk a bit more about it because I think they pivoted very successfully into an alternative way of telling the story, which is quite nice. Next up, Saraya versus Shida for the AEW Women's title.
Whoa, now. Next up, we got part 2 of Lover's Lament.
Oh yeah, I mean it's exactly the same as part 1, but yeah, it was also excellent. It was great.
It was fucking great.
Yeah, then Saraya versus Shida. Really fun match. Saraya's I think she's fully back to her best now, like in terms of in-ring ability. It took her a while to sort of shake it off. Not that she was bad when she came in, she just wasn't quite at 100%. But now I think it really kicked into full gear like 2 or 3 weeks ago. But yeah, she's excellent.
I mean, what people seem to forget is that like she'd not wrestled for like almost 5 years.
Yeah,
like she'd had a handful of matches like within that period where she'd come back from an injury and then got re-injured.
What was really lovely as well, I think it was this week, she said, like, while they were filming this Dynamite or they were doing these sets of shows, there was a moment where, like, Saraya, Adam Copeland, and Bryan Danielson were all, like, out by the ring together. And Saraya was like, oh my god, look at the 3 of us. Like, we were all told we'd never wrestle again. And, like, here we all are.
Did you see that picture going round of those 3 and Elton Prince as well?
Yeah.
Because Pretty Deadly are doing that whole story, aren't they, with the shoulder, where he's like, I might never wrestle again. It was fucking excellent. But yeah, no, that was a really, really cool picture. It's cool that, like, as you say, 3 people who pretty much like were told their career's over managed to actually be like not only wrestling again, but wrestling at such a high level again.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, this first match ended with Saraya losing. Shida rolls her up and becomes women's champion for the third time, the only 3-time AEW women's champion.
Yeah, and then who did she say she was going to defend the title against first defense?
I believe it was Venny.
It was Venny.
Make
Give
it
me
happen.
what I want, Tony.
Yeah, do it, Tony, you coward.
Yeah.
Next up, Tony Schiavone said that Tony Khan's going to donate 50,000 toys to Toys for Tots for Christmas, which is nice.
Yeah. Also, they did a thing which, again, it kind of like adds on to the sort of it adds to the sort of like the impact of Hobbs murdering Jericho, where they said Jericho's been taken to hospital.
Yeah, not a local medical facility, a hospital.
But they were very like Excalibur was very like serious about it, wasn't he? He was like, I've got some unfortunate news. Chris Jericho's been taken to hospital following like the attack of Powerhouse Hobbs. So again, it really cements Hobbs as being like this kind of like dominant force.
Yeah. Then we had a few little backstage bits. So during picture-in-picture, Don Callis and Takeshita holding up signs like Sammy did, which was a nice little touch. Basically said they're going to murder cool. Kenny. Then you had Renee interviewing MJF, which was again this was like the I think they should have put this maybe a little bit closer to the promo from Juice. It might have like softened the blow a bit. This was almost like pouring a bit of water on the fire to put some of the online panic out. It was MJF like really selling the effect that had on him, and really played into the fact that it was obviously something that he'd sort of orchestrated. This was like his story that he was telling. Then he rang Adam Cole, couldn't get a good signal, and then the Acclaim pop up. Max Cass is a bit creepy. Yeah, and I like this sort of like, because there's this sort of like ongoing thing in the Acclaimed, isn't there, that Max Caster's like, he raps and he insults all these people, but he doesn't really know how to talk to people.
Yeah.
And so like, but wasn't big on like going to try and like coach him and like help him. Which they do a bit more of that on Collision, which is quite nice. Christine comes out with Luchasaurus, and basically slags off the Kansas City Chiefs, which is great. It doesn't need any help to get wins, which is fantastic. Took some digs at Edge, Adam Copeland, and he basically, I love that he said, obviously Adam Copeland said that Luchasaurus and Nick Wayne would drop him like a bad habit when they got everything, all the mentorship they wanted, and he said, "Oh no, you've got it all wrong. I'm not their leader. I'm not their mentor. I'm their father."
It's fucking great. He's just excellent.
Yeah, and he made a good point as well. He made a good point as well. He said, like, he basically said, "Oh yeah, a few years ago when you were like top guy, you didn't want us to end our careers together. You wanted to be a champion."
Which is true.
Yeah. Now, like, I'm the champion and you're not. Now you all of a sudden you want us to tag again.
Yeah, it's a heel that makes good points. I think these two, when they do have that inevitable match, is going to tear the fucking house down, though.
I think AEW have really got to, like, because they've got a great way to do it, and Christian just being a shit house, but they've really got to tease this and draw it out.
What, to like Revolution?
Yeah, I think so. Even longer, like if you can.
To be fair, they could just do Copeland, Sting, and maybe Darby.
They could do Copeland. They could do Copeland Starks. They could do Copeland Nick Wayne. They could do,
I was going to say do a 6-man. Just do like Christian Luchasaurus, Nick Wayne versus Copeland, Sting, and Darby.
But have Christian tag out whenever Copeland gets in.
Yeah, just barely have them touching, and then have Christian win by like nefarious methods, and then like they hold it off till Revolution. I reckon. Like you could probably get like 4 months out of this easy.
And then we had Adam Copeland make his in-ring debut versus Luchasaurus, and it was a really fun match.
They had really good chemistry. Like Luchasaurus attacked Copeland before, didn't he?
Yeah,
and it looked like Luchasaurus was just going to dominate Copeland. Copeland managed to turn it back, hold his own, and hit some of the shit he did.
the spear off the ring steps was nuts.
Yeah.
He hit an Impaler DDT as well, which you love to see.
Yeah, and then he hit Luchasaurus with the TNT title and a spear to pick up the win. So notably, Christian tried to attack Adam with the belt and missed, and then Copeland got the belt and then hit Luchasaurus with it. And then the ending to Dynamite this week was fucking great, I thought, because it felt like a proper Attitude Era ending.
Yeah, so it was obviously there was a big brawl afterwards, and then Blackpool Combat Club ran out and just started wailing on them, and then Gates of Agony came out and just started wailing on BCC.
Yeah, so Luchasaurus and Nick Wayne attacked Copeland, and then Danielson made the save on his own, and then Mogul Embassy came out, and then BCC came out, and then Swerve kind of just walked out, didn't he, on his own?
Yeah.
And then Hangman just surprised motherfuckered him. And yeah, it was interesting because it was kind of a lot of intersecting parts, even down to the fact that Christian blamed Swerve for the fact that he lost at Wembley.
Yeah.
There's a lot of kind of moving parts within this, but it seems to be heading in a fun direction.
Yeah. Right, we'll fly through Rampage because nothing of any real note happened on it. It was just matches. They were fun, but Daniel Garcia, Matt Menard, and Angelo Parker defeated the Hardys and Brothers A. Fine. Garcia got the win, which was great. They're really heating them up, obviously. That's the thing that they're building towards.
Yeah.
Jay Lethal beat Trent Beretta in a relatively clean match for a Jay Lethal match, which was fine. Yeah, that was good. Match that had probably the most sort of character development: Sky Blue versus Emi Sakura. Sky Blue had the spooky eyes.
She did have the spooky eyes, and
a very different demeanor, which was interesting. A nice bit of character work from Sky Blue, and she got the win as well. So she's obviously embracing the sort of the dark side that's been bequeathed upon her.
Yeah, I'm intrigued where this is going with Sky and Willow.
I think I like the sort of the contrast in that Sky Blue has presumably gone, but Willow is this pure, incorruptible presence that's trying to hold her back.
Yeah, Willow's trying to sort of temper a sort of rage. We did get a really cool Ortiz and Mike Santana backstage segment as well.
It was just the one where they just basically had an argument.
Yeah, Ortiz is just cutting a promo, and then Santana just storms in and starts shouting at him and saying he's better. And
remember that they're really good at promos.
I don't know what they're gonna do with this. I kind of want them to end up reconciling the differences and becoming a team again.
Well, I think that has to happen in real life as well, though, for it to.
I mean, yeah, but also if they're working with one another, clearly,
you'd hope maybe there's a chance that working this program together might sort of bring them back.
I feel like if they're doing this storyline together, because there's a lot of kind of realism in it, they've clearly got to be there's got to be some modicum of respect for one another.
Yeah,
because at the end of the day, if there is all this kind of bad blood that Meltz has been talking about, it's only going to lead to not something bad happening because they're both professionals, but it's only going to kind of make things a bit more hostile.
They've got to have that foundation of trust, which you hope if that's still there, then they could probably maybe team together still, which you'd like to think is still a way that could happen. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, main event time: BCC versus Gates of Agony. Again, great, a lot of big lads. Claudio doing a big swing on a big boy, which is always fun.
I thought that Gates of Agony were going to win this at one point.
Really? I mean, they looked really good in this match. They looked super strong.
They looked really strong. When Claudio ran after Nana, I was like, well,
when they left. When they left, because it's going to be another one of them, Wheelie to let the side down sort of moments.
Yeah, I was just like, yeah, Wheeler's getting murdered here. And then Claudio just appeared out of nowhere.
Yeah, I love the finish as well. When Claudio just threw Utah off the top turnbuckle onto Khan.
Yeah,
That was real nice.
I have a feeling that BCC might be the first challengers for Starks and Big Bill.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I can take a bit of that. Right, on to Collision then, and this very much felt like a Punk era Collision.
I thought it was a pretty good episode, though. To be fair,
it was. I just mean the format. Like it was.
Yeah.
It was. There were a couple of things. There were no sound bites at the start, which they've been having over the last few weeks.
Let's talk about format, because they had Tony Schiavone as lead commentator, which I think massively improved it.
It made such a difference. Like, I mean, I've made no secret my dislike for Kevin Kelly, and I don't think it's because he's a bad commentator. I just don't think he's familiar enough with AEW as a product to be the lead guy.
I agree. I think he was very out of his element.
No, I think he was exposed by not being experienced enough with the show. When you've got guys, when your comparison is Excalibur, who knows everything.
Yeah.
You can't like not know what moves are called and not know histories of wrestlers and feuds, and like, because Excalibur knows all of that and he has it all on tap. And so when you're flubbing, like calling moves the wrong thing, or like just not calling finishes when they happen, like, you look like an idiot. And it's not his fault, because he just hasn't been there. But Tony, again, it's nice to have Tony in that role. I think he's a bit more energized when he's talking more, and he's a bit more like JR. He's a bit more, he's not on that level, but he's more involved when he's got more to do.
Yeah,
like, because he can feel a bit passive on Dynamite, because Excalibur and Taz talk a lot, whereas he's got so much more space on Collision, because there's no one else is high energy on that broadcast team.
Yeah, well, this was what Tony used to do in WCW. He was the kind of the lead commentator, where he had like Mike Tenay and Bobby Heenan like either side of him, and Tony would be like the kind of like the middle ground guy, and they very much tried to get that dynamic with like Nigel doing the Bobby Heenan sort of role, and Kevin Kelly being a bit more like Mike Tenay and a bit more kind of like analytical.
And I think this was like multiple times better. This was like a tenfold improvement on the commentary experience.
This was like they got the special sauce and figured it out. Yeah.
This felt like they've absolutely nailed it. Please, for the love of fucking God, keep this like this, please. Yeah,
or just have Nigel and Riccaboni.
I mean, if for whatever reason, if you can get Riccaboni, get Riccaboni. But if this is if Ian won't work weekends, then that's fair enough. Then this is the next best thing. Yeah. So anyway, we started out with Rated R superstar Adam Copeland, which is hilarious. Yeah, which is hilarious, because when they show his nameplate, it still has his Twitter, which is @EdgeRatedR.
Yeah, I think that's just gonna be what he keeps.
But they are still putting Edge on screen, which is kind of funny.
I mean, JR kept calling him Edge, so you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So what was interesting about this was he calls Christian out immediately, doesn't he?
Yeah.
And Christian brings out like a security force who like stands. Basically, he stands in the corner, and then they stand in front of.
He sits on the turnbuckle, doesn't he?
Yeah. Absolute shitbag behaviour.
So he's getting booed by the crowd, and then he basically gets to the mic and says, "Shut up while I'm conducting business."
I love the way he said about Toledo as well. He was like, he would, what's he say? He says something like Toledo is known for nothing or something like that.
Yeah, he said if he sticks, he told Adam Copeland, if he sticks around in AEW much longer, it'll be just like he's from Toledo and be known for nothing.
Danielson comes out and he basically like reveals that like Nick Wayne and Luchasaurus and BCC are all banned from ringside for the main event.
Yeah.
Which Christian's furious about, because he doesn't have control over that. And then Ricky Starks and Big Bill come out. I love the way Ricky like gets in the ring behind the security guards.
Yeah.
And he gets one of the security guards like sort of squat down while he's shouting over him at Danielson.
And him and Copeland get into it. They have a little back and forth, a little bit of WWE conversation.
Yeah, so Copeland basically just says that Ricky's just like a a Rock like sort of wannabe, which is kind of not really original.
I think this was actually a little not weak from Copeland. I think this really sort of. I don't think he was quite ready for like the back and forth.
No, I because Ricky went straight after him instead of going after Danielson.
I think this is a bit of a sort of baptism of fire for Copeland. I think there's a bit of like welcome to unscripted promos, welcome to just going out and getting into it on the microphone, and like it's sink or swim. I mean, you have to put up, don't you?
Yeah, I mean he's done unscripted promos before, but I think it was more because Ricky kind of like was like, I'm talking to Danielson. He said, what's he say? Keep your bug eyes off me or something like that. Yeah. And then Copeland was like, shit, he said something to me. I need to say something.
You look like The Rock. Yeah.
Yeah. But although he did, I can't remember what Ricky said something, and then like he did kind of like win it, like clawed it back because Ricky said something, and he just went, well, that's original, isn't it, Ricky? It just made Ricky look like an absolute dickhead. I was like, yeah. FDR come out because Ricky and Big Bill challenged Copeland and Danielson to a match, did they not?
Sounded like it was kind of all a bit all over the place in terms of what they were actually trying to set up, wasn't it? Like nothing really got sort of set in stone. It was kind of just a bit sort of a big sort of ball of nothing. Like they didn't set any matches. They sort of hyped the main event a bit, but that was like all it sort of really did. Yeah, and then the faces attacked the security guards for some reason, which was kind of weird.
Yeah. Well, the one that FTR hit the big rig on was Myron Reed.
Yeah,
which was nice. Jake Christ was also there.
He was, yeah.
Which
Ohio versus everyone. He's just not the other one.
If I was going to say, if Jake's there, then Sammy's not far behind.
Yeah, oh no, I was thinking about Dave, but he's gone now, and he's.
Oh yeah, no, I know. We don't talk about Dave.
Dave, there is no other Chris brother. It's fine.
There is only one Chris brother, and it's Jake Christ, who burnt the IWA Mid-South title because he didn't get paid.
Yeah. So as I say, after this, they showed that MJF package about the South Jewish hate thing, which was great. See Robert Kraft, owner of the New England Patriots, Julian Edelman, former wide receiver, some good, cool NFL guys there. That was great.
It was cool. They shown that bit with MJF thanking Robert Kraft for like inviting him to do it, which was again it kind of like makes it feel more like, oh yeah, MJF's just a person. Like obviously he's like portrays this larger than life, like the devil in AEW, but seeing him in this kind of like made them a bit more sort of like
It was weirdly
relatable,
wasn't it? Yeah, it was very like for someone like MJF who never strips back his character even when he's on social media. Like to see him like lay out as like a normal person, like I say, it was quite affecting. And it was really quite sincere and quite nice.
Yeah, as I say, it made them come across more relatable. Speaking of MJF, the sort of Grim Reaper coming after him, Samoa Joe did a crime on Willie Mack, didn't he?
Oh, this match was fucking brilliant. I love Willie Mack so much.
Yeah.
And I mean, Mack had a good go here. Like he didn't lay down, But yeah, that was a big old muscle buster Joe hit right at the end.
Oh god, the fucking ring shook when he did that.
Yeah, that was lovely. Willie Mack's great, and to see him get the rub on TV like this is great. And he got a good, like you say, he put some good. He hit was it that cannonball he hit where he went real high and hit Joe in the face?
Yeah,
that was real nice.
He managed to get a stunner off on Joe as well, which just made Joe angry.
But that was good. I'd love to see more Willie Mack. I'd love to see him get signed. I think he'd be a real good hand to have around.
He's been doing a lot of work in ROH.
Yeah, there was a rumor going around that he was signed last year or early this year, but he himself debunked it. I don't know whether he's just like sort of like low key signed, like Ring of Honor signed.
Yeah. Well, they had him and Ninja Mac, Willie Mack and Ninja Mac tagging together. The Mac. For a little while, they were entertaining.
Next up, then we had Lexi Nair interviewing CJ, Hot and Flexible CJ. Basically, CJ saying she's offering managerial services, helps make champions, make stars, Action Andretti comes in and offers himself to be her first customer. I'm sure that's going to be really well for him.
Action Andretti offering himself as sacrifice.
Yeah, I'm sure it's going to be absolutely fine. I'm sure it's going to work out great for him. Yeah, we'll see how that goes. Another Danhausen vignette, which I love these. They're so catchy. They're so. Also, they threw in the buy the Danhausen Halloween mask at shopaw.com this time, which was great.
It felt very much like a Danhausen, like as in something Danhausen was doing before he got signed by AEW.
Yeah, like one of his YouTube things. I mean, just give Danhausen more money.
Just give him a blimp full of money. Yeah.
It's so mad, isn't it, that Danhausen like literally never got injured his entire career, and then right before he got signed, and then right afterwards he got signed, he got injured.
He got 2 serious injuries, yeah.
Yeah, which kind of sucked. But yeah, next up then we had Juice Robinson versus Christopher Daniels. Yeah,
this was fun.
This was great. Yeah, it was just really good fun. Nice back and forth. Juice wins.
After the match, Juice gets a ring.
Does Juice's finisher have a name?
Yeah, so in New Japan it was called Pulp Friction.
Just the DDT thing where he drops down.
Yeah. In AEW they call it the Juice is Loose.
And then because they referred to his other move that was like the big move was they called it the left hand of God, which when he got smacked Daniels dead hard in the face.
Yeah, it's that's his other finisher.
Yeah, but they've never explicitly named his finisher in AEW. They just don't talk about it when he does it, which is kind of weird.
Yeah, they just say the Juice is loose, which I'm guessing is what they're calling it.
Yeah. So anyway, after the match, I loved this. Jay White proposed to Juice with a diamond ring, which was just incredible. Yeah. And then Juice puts it on, hits Daniels with it, and then he's like, "Oh yeah, I got this ring from TK Maxx if you're in the UK for $24.99." And the left-handed God doesn't need it, so he basically he's going to throw it in the river or something. And then he said on Wednesday he's going to win the Battle Royal, win the ring, and then he's going to pawn it off, and the Bullet Club are going on vacation because he doesn't need the ring to win.
Yeah. Interestingly, Jay White again brings up the whole getting attacked by the Devil Mask guy.
I like how they're keeping. I like how Jay specifically is keeping that alive.
Well, yeah, it's it is very much that Jay's you didn't need to have all this shit with me, but as soon as that happened, now you've got my attention. And it's almost like it's fueling Jay to take the belt off Max now because of that.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm excited. I'm really into this Full Gear match they're building. I can't wait for it. It's gonna be great. Right, next up then we had a little Dustin Rhodes vignette. AEW's rolling around. AEW's rolling to Texas, which means Dustin Rhodes is putting the boots back on, baby.
Keep stepping. Well, yeah, he said he's retiring at the end of the year, didn't he?
He said, well, he sort of implied, didn't he, that this would be his last year. And yeah, he's basically coming back to win the Dynamite Diamond Ring, which is interesting because they've been telegraphing fucking a mile wide that Juice Robinson's winning this for the last 2 weeks. Yeah,
I mean, Max Caster now he knows that he can be in a battle royal to get MJF's ring is real excited.
After this, then Lexi Nair interviewed with Nick Wayne, which was great. He's like, "Oh yeah, next week you have an interview with you and your mum with Jim Ross," and he was like, "What?"
I love this. I love the whole
the graphics incredible as well. The graphic they put up.
What I really want from this is Nick Wayne trying to wingman his mum to get with Christian. That's what I really want from this.
Yeah. Next up, we had a little squash match. Kyle Fletcher beating Boulder. Nice to see Boulder back. I like how much of Iron Savages we get on Collision. It really warms my heart.
Yeah. Kyle Fletcher looking great again.
Yeah, winning with a Dragon Sleeper as well. A little submission action.
Yeah. Well, he tried to beat Danielson with that, didn't he?
Yeah.
And also, given the fact that his finish is like a fucking tombstone, I don't think he was hitting that on Boulder.
No. Next up, then we had the Acclaimed getting interviewed by Renee. Obviously, they talk about trying to like improve Max's social skills. I love how Bowens is like, yeah, Billy knows how to talk to girls. I know how to talk to guys. You know, we'll help you out here. We'll sort this out. And so they give him some advice, and then they bring Renee back in. And then Max is like, oh, Renee, what about those oral sessions? And Renee's like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah. And then, we got Daddy Magic, Jake Hager, Garcia, and Angelo Parker coming and challenge the Acclaimed for
Daddy Magic wants a taste of the title.
Daddy Magic versus Daddy Ass.
That's too much daddy. It's so much daddy.
So much daddy. Yeah.
And then right at the end, Daniel Garcia is about to dance and Jake Hager pulls him away. Boo. Boo that man.
Yeah. Boo that man indeed. Boo that man indeed.
Next up then, we got Chris Statlander versus Sky Blue for the TBS title. They interestingly show before this match the clip of Julia Hart spraying the mist in Sky Blue's face. So
Tony Schiavone did a really good job of kind of like making a point of this as well, didn't he? Where he was like, her demeanor's changed. She used to be so like happy and bubbly, and now she's just like scowling at people. And he's like, something's changed in this, and she got like black sick.
Yeah, and even over the course of one night, like her eyes have gotten spookier since Rampage.
Yeah. Back and forth match as well. Like, yeah,
I think it was a really good showing from Sky Blue. Like, obviously, they're leaning into this idea that Sky Blue's gotten like more aggressive, more sort of like less like forgiving. She's a lot more dangerous in the ring because of this like new persona she's taken on. Which it obviously wasn't quite enough to beat Chris Statlander. But I think if this is going like for over a few more weeks or months, I think there's an argument to say that when Sky Blue is full spooky, she could be the one to take the belt off Statlander.
Yeah, or Willow.
Yeah, but I think there's if Sky Blue is going full spooky and she beats Statlander for the title, there's an interesting dynamic then between her and Julia. Like, because Julia was the one who created her, but then she didn't get the belt. Sky Blue got the belt, so there's tension there. And like, I'm into that. Just give me Julia's spooky goth girls, please. The world needs it.
Yeah. While the House of Black are dealing with injuries, let Julia have like her own House of Black.
Brody King can also be there because I like him.
Yeah, I to be fair, I would quite enjoy if Buddy Matthews was also there, dressed as different foods, looking sad about it, like the pictures that Rhea keeps putting up.
Have you noticed how though it's always like, so Rhea is the food, and then Buddy's always like the controversial bit of food. So like Rhea was pizza and he was pineapple. Rhea was a hot dog and he was ketchup. It's like it's always like
Rhea was ketchup and he was the hot dog.
Was he? But it's always like a controversial food pairing, like that they pick.
And then Rhea was a taco and he was corn on the cob.
Yeah.
I can't remember what the other one was. The hot dog one's my favorite because he looks like he's having like the worst time of his life. He looks like he fucking hates it.
But yeah, go back to this match. It was really good. Like you say, it was really back and forth, really good fun. Obviously, Statlander picks up the win. Saturday Night Fever. After the match, Statlander goes to help Sky up, and Willow runs in and is like, no, don't worry, I got this.
Well, Sky is like glaring at her, isn't she, as well?
Which is interesting on a couple of levels. They said as well, like, I think it was Nigel said, it's Chris Statlander's finding out that it's lonely being the champion. Like, no one wants you as your friend. Everyone's coming for you. No one wants to be your friend, which is an interesting sort of dynamic. Also, obviously, what's this relationship now between Willow and Sky Blue, now that Willow's not spooky and Sky is?
Willow did have, like, a little bit of black around the right.
Yeah.
She didn't have it as bad as Sky, but she did have it there.
So that's interesting. But yeah, interested to see how this all plays out. I'm really enjoying that we get 2 women's stories a week now, which is nice.
But also, as well, like what was weird was Statlander was kind of acting more heelish about it.
I think she was just a bit put out. I don't think she was necessarily being a heel. She was just a bit like sort of freaked out by the whole ship debacle, which you would be, wouldn't you? To be fair.
Yeah, it was just weird that she was like giving them daggers, and it was like, all right, well. Why are you reacting that way?
Next up, Kyle Fletcher. Wished Mark Davis a nice recovery. He's broke his wrist, but now he wants to prove he's one of the best singles wrestlers. Calling out Mr. Kenny Omega for a match on Dynamite.
Kyle Fletcher is not fucking around, is he?
No, he's just like, all right. Remember when like Dax was having all those singles matches when Cash was injured, and Kyle's like, I can do that.
Yeah. And the difference is, Kyle Fletcher's only 24 and he's this fucking good.
That's sickening, isn't it? That makes me physically uncomfortable.
It like he's got to be in the conversation for probably like in that next like sort of like next group of guys who could be best wrestler in the world in like 5-10 years time.
Yeah. Following on from that, we got a sweet Los Ingobernables promo.
Speaking of best wrestlers in the world, my fucking guy.
Oh my god, this had me so hype. Roosh is like the fucking man when it comes. Roosh is the king of this shit, isn't he?
Just driving around in a sports car looking like a fucking drug baron.
I love
everyone's this. I loved it again. I love the subtitles on it because it let Roosh do a lot of his speaking in Spanish, which I think he feels a lot more. You can tell he feels a lot more comfortable,
and it feels a lot more intense and a lot more intimidating.
Yeah, and then when he did say things in English, it made it feel more terrifying as well.
Also, and I agree with like that, like sort of breaking into Spanish and English and like sort of switching and like the whole background. It was very Lucha Underground.
Yeah, it's like all this LFI stuff in the last couple of weeks has been super Lucha Underground. I'm fucking here for it.
Yeah,
I just want Roos to show up and murder anyone at this point.
Yeah, it's happening.
Missed him wrestling so much.
He's been tweeting a lot about coming back, so it's imminent. It's absolutely imminent.
I feel like he was meant to be wrestling Punk.
Yeah.
I feel like Punk was like the guy he was going to be feuding with, and then obviously that's happened, and it's like, shit, what are we going to do with Roosh? Roosh just sat there on his palatial estate stewing.
Right, next up we had a squash match. Only a 1 minute match, but a lot of stuff happening here. So Keith Lee versus Turbo Floyd from the Outrunners. But while this match was happening, Turbo Floyd, great name. While this match was happening, Shane Taylor, Lee Moriarty watching backstage, which is lovely to see that still bubbling away. That Shane Taylor, Keith Lee feud is still happening, which you love to see. But yeah, real short match. Keith Lee wins, obviously. Yeah, does the job.
Yeah, I think Lee Moriarty is going to get absolutely battered by Keith Lee at some point.
Yeah, he's going to suffer so beautifully. Next up, Miro. Basically, has already crimed Action Andrade.
This was so funny. It was just because it was just like intense Miro in like some weirdly lit room promo, and then he just like dragged Andretti into the shop.
Yeah, he's like, here we go, here's this man. And he said he's willing to destroy every man to protect one woman.
They've announced Miro versus Andretti next week, which I think Andretti's in danger.
Yeah. And then main event time. Fuck me, what a match. Bryan Danielson versus Christian Cage for the TNT title. Jim Ross is out on commentary. No Kevin Kelly. Kevin Kelly goes, Jim Ross comes out.
I think Tony and JR have good like chemistry as well, to be fair.
Yeah, which they don't get to explore very often because they're always on, like, if they're ever together, it's in quite a crowded booth, whereas when it's just the three of them with Nigel lets people talk a lot. Like, he's very aware of when to chime in, which is really good. But yeah, this match was phenomenal.
Yeah, Nigel's really good at kind of like leading the conversation to where he wants it to go, and then letting them have a chat about it, and then interjecting. This match was great. It wasn't the fastest paced match, but they told a really good story. Obviously, Danielson looked like he was about to beat Christian. Ricky came from nowhere and hit Danielson with one of the tag titles.
Oh, that was amazing. He just glided over, and then he just laid out. But throughout the match, Christian worked Danielson's arm a lot to the point where he couldn't put the label lock on properly, which was a big like. And also, I liked they showed when Christian was in the label lock, he used his experience. He went backwards to the ropes instead of trying to go forwards, and he used his feet to break the hold, which was Christian showing some really good like veteran instincts in this match. Towards the end. Yeah, towards the end, Starks comes in with like a fucking drive-by with a belt on Danielson, it looked incredible. And then he just lay on the floor like he'd been shot outside the ring. Yeah,
and then after the match, we got like pretty much same sort of thing as like the end of Dynamite, where like
big old fight.
Ricky Starks, Luchasaurus, Nick Wayne, Christian, and Big Bill were all attacking Danielson. Copeland and FTR come and make the save, and then
I love how this worked out. Like, everyone sort of got off the ring one at a time, and then all of a sudden Nick Wayne realized how fucked he was. You see him stand up. He looks at FTR, looks at Danielson, and then he knows what's happening. He just sort of accepts it, turns around, and gets speared out of his shoes. It was incredible.
I didn't realize how much I needed heel Nick Wayne until I got heel Nick Wayne.
He's such a good shit house, isn't he? He's got this I've met him. We've met him in person. He's a lovely guy, but
he's such a nice guy.
He can give himself such a punchable face.
It's the whole it's like his demeanor, isn't it? Like he's very he's got very Kevin and Perry energy.
Well, he's obviously he's West Coast. Like when we met him, he was like this really chilled out sort of surfer dude kind of vibe. But he can flip that into a real douche bro personality so easily.
Yeah, I mean just that fucking jumper that he's been wearing.
But it's just great to see him get battered, and I keep saying this because it fascinates me. This is a guy who just over a year ago we were watching him wrestle in a nightclub, and now he's getting speared by Adam Copeland on TV, and it's fucking great.
Yeah, it's great. Made up for it.
Right then, before we wrap it up, because we have gone a little long tonight, which is fine. There was plenty of wrestling to talk with. It's always happens when Faye's not here. Yeah, when Faye's not here, we always do. We enjoy ourselves too much. Not saying the Faye's, damps down the fun, but we get a bit self-indulgent when it's just me and you, don't we?
Yeah, I mean we've not even veered off too much about Chikara.
No, we talked about Chris Hero for 5 minutes though, so that probably did it.
We did have a chat about Chris Hero.
Right, before we wrap it all up, wrestler of the week.
I mean, I'm gonna send it to you first because.
Okay, I'm going to go off the beaten track a bit because it's spooky season. So I want the spookiest. I want Sky Blue.
Okay.
I think both her matches were excellent, and she showed some really nice character work over the two shows as well. So that's my reasoning. That's
fair. I'm going to go for Father of the Year, Christian Cage.
I mean, that's also a very good pick.
That match. I thought you were going to say Christian Cage. So I had
you got the pivot.
I had Danielson in my back pocket there, and then I was like, and you said you threw the curveball and said Sky Blue. I was like, shit. All right, well, I think Christian deserves it more this week.
that match with Danielson was truly exceptional. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Right, we're gonna call it there. We'll be back next week. Trying to think if anything's happening this week. No, it's just gonna be normal wrestling. I think. We'll talk about some bits and bobs. But yeah. Thank you all for joining us. Take care. Enjoy your wrestling. Goodbye.
Bye.
Hello, yes, Danhausen here. Danhausen has been summoned. You must love this podcast housing, the Untitled Wrestling Podcast housing.